And we're back for another week of Athletic LLC. So, yep, more rest means more silliness. So, welcome back. Another fun episode. Last week, we seem to have stirred the pot a bit. So, we are here for another great episode, and we'll keep stirring. So, nonetheless, Governor, how are you tonight, sir?
Pretty good. Just, assuming this is going to be a half week. It's a weird time for July 4th to be. Um, so, a lot of the business affairs that you're trying to get done are largely stunted, so you just roll
Yeah.
with it. It is what
Yep.
it is.
Yep.
Clyde, how are you tonight?
Touche to the gun. I will never understand the vacation calendars of some administration folk.
Oh boy.
I got one better for you. We had our academic advisor when I was at an institution, that way I won't say the school, go on vacation the first week of school.
Yeah.
Because what could go wrong with freshman orientation and onboarding?
Not even that. When they go on vacation during advising.
I think we could do an entire show on travel agents that would not answer their phone after 5 o'clock, or academic advisors, or compliance officers that, you've got to recruit in, you've got to question. Sorry. I mean, different strokes, different folks, right?
And they come at you crazy like you're nuts for asking them why they would go on. Like I got in trouble because I asked our academic advisor at that school, who greenlit this vacation for you?
Oh wow.
I got in trouble for that.
Yeah.
But it was a real question because really it was not her fault. She put in for vacation. Her supervisor is the one should have been like, nah, you can't go on vacation the first week of school. Why would that even sound like a good idea? But anyway.
What's up, baby boy?
I'm in a garbage can.
You're what?
In a garbage can.
Yeah, I don't think I want you in there.
Opening day, how are you tonight?
Well,
honestly, she asked me.
My bad.
I'm really good. I guess to let the rest of the world in, today was the opening night, the quote unquote grand opening of our baseball training facility. It was pretty much a rousing success, although I did buy too much champagne and sparkling apple juice, or sparkling grape juice. I think that is the least of anybody's worries. It's been very well received, and I think it's going to go really well. So my stress level has deflated tremendously.
Big league. The show is called Opening Day.
Opening day.
Write it down.
I know. Write it down this time instead of having to watch the whole episode over again.
Thanks, guys.
That happened.
Congratulations, man.
Congratulations. See how much you like it in a month. Just
Congrats.
Say
congratulations.
Can't return this one. Oh, that was the best. Thank you, Kai. I needed to hear that. So, all right. So this is part 2, kind of. So we're gonna grow the conversation from last week. I have to give a shout out to the person who literally created this wormhole for us. So after last week, we had a conversation, last week we had a conversation about the portal. I said how I was gonna find the statistics of those who we retained, and then it spun off into like what schools, how many people go unclaimed, things of that nature, right? So luckily, our audience is so amazing and they educate us as much as you guys say that we educate you. So Mr. Rochelle Black, ever so kindly, and I mean that sarcastically, opened a wormhole. And he let us know that we can put in these parameters and then voila, a report is produced. So to my unliking, I was on a plane when I got this message, but I let the gentleman know that, yeah, this is a report and this report exists. And so then you insert Clyde and the wormhole has begun.
So we ultimately here at the LLC seek to educate first and foremost. And so when we got into this rabbit hole, it just felt like something we had to do. So I'm going to share my computer screen here and take y'all on a little journey into the current realities of the transfer portal. Obviously, we will not be exposing any names of anybody because that would just be unprofessional. And I may or may not have to put my child in lockdown in a second, but
So he muted himself, and all of us know means tight-lipped, closed teeth. Mother, if you don't sit your
that's right.
ass down.
Here we go. And I'm going to get rid of my little boxes here. Can we all see?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay. So here is if you click on this here, you will get to this screen. Now, we're going to go to student athlete status and the year. And I want to show the year before, last year. And I'm going to click sports. And just because it's fun, we'll go to women's outdoor track, all divisions. And you will see that last year, 1,800 women entered the portal. 156 of them changed their mind and withdrew. 945, 52%, found new homes. And 40%, 39% ended up with no deals. These are not great numbers. Okay. This is normal reality for the transfer portal. And I say normal because the year before, not much different. 2023 summer, right? The year before that, 38% didn't find a place to go. Not, normal, 1,700. Okay. So what's going on right now? Wow. Wow.
All I gotta say is abort, abort, abort. Where.
This
Please take an exit.
is not good. It's not good at all. And there's so many factors that are playing into this. But at the end of the day, for me, it comes down to these kids are being led astray.
Lied to, run amok.
100%.
Like by so many different entities. But people, 85% are currently floating in the atmosphere. Like, you can't have this. And for the record, you think the men is better? It's not. Men's track, oh, sorry, that's volleyball. Men's volleyball isn't any better either, by the way. But men's track isn't any better. Here you go. 2,100 people in, 1,800 people floating. This isn't good. 5% have found new places to be. This is not good.
Well, it's really not good considering the portal's closed.
No, yeah, it's closed.
Yes.
There won't be new people coming in, but these people still got to find homes. 87%, 1,800 kids.
Okay, so here's my
And
question, and I
it's
don't know that you guys.
July, and it's July 1st.
Mhm.
Yes.
And for
Which
the
that means-
record, this is and the last thing I want to show, because when I'm diving into the track and field rabbit hole, because that's what we care about here. For the record, if you do all women's sports,
Oh, geez.
it ain't
It's not
no better. 77%. If you do all men's sports, it ain't no better. 76%. So
Stay out of the portal.
I'm just saying, if you ain't, as the children say, one of them ones, you need to seriously rethink what the play is here. Because from coast to coast, and this is how you know the utterly delusional state of the majority of these situations. Coast to coast, big school and small, there are programs trying to give away money.
Yes.
And being told, actually, coach, I'll get back to you.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, coach, I'm waiting on blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing? This is not how this is going to play out. This is not good, people. It's really, really not. And I feel really bad that so many of these young people have been led astray in the way that they have.
So
Do
how
think-
many
do.
how many factors can we name
You
that
guys,
would contribute to this mess that they're in right now?
So here's one that is not a controllable for those who go in.
Mm-hmm.
The Ivy not allowing you to stay
Yeah.
after you graduate, right? So in that case, that's part of the actives, right? Because if they're trying to pursue their career or their athletic career, but the Ivy says, well, you're done with your undergrad, you have to go.
Right.
So maybe that is an uncontrollable. I don't know. I mean, maybe the head coach departing.
No.
No.
Listen, there's normal business,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and we've seen I just showed the consistency of that. In this, nobody understood fully what these new rules and new realities would mean.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But way too many people fell for the BS narratives or played themselves into a situation. For example, it's public knowledge that Washington State, for example, has said, we're not going to do field events here anymore.
Right.
So all the kids in the portal that come from that school that are field eventers, that's not their fault. But the reality that 85% of Division I has opted in and therefore are now subject to 45 roster limits
Mm-hmm.
is creating this.
Right.
Mhm.
And what too many people heard, and I know this is true because they've said it to me on the phone. Too many people heard, oh, track has 45 scholarships now.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So there's more money. And then mom and
Mhm.
dad and club coach X are sitting at the crib like, well, coach, y'all got more scholarships now. So that means more opportunities. No, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't.
Because there's like 5 programs in the country that are operating with the 45 scholarships.
Right.
Well,
the
let's go.
majority
Let's
of them
go backwards.
Have
You remember
lost
when,
opportunities.
you guys remember when we had the show and we were talking about which was going to have a bigger impact, the new scholarship money or the roster limits, and we were, if you run across other shows and other people, we were the only show that was adamant and unanimous pretty much that it was going to be roster limits were going to be the bigger problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we look like geniuses now.
So let's take a program that is going to emphasize distance. Okay. Most of the top programs are going to be at 35 men. You have 17 spots for cross.
10 for the
10,
SEC.
10 spots, right?
Officially. Yep.
Right? So If you want to bring those over to indoor and outdoor, now you're talking about 25. Those 25 spots now have to be split up between throws, multis, hurdlers, sprinters, jumpers, right? And that can get filled up really quickly.
But it's worse than that. Because if San Jose State looked at the landscape and said, you know what? Our money's best spent in the distances.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to load up and become a distance-oriented program.
Yep.
There's nothing stopping me from taking all 45 of my roster spots and giving them to distance runners.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm one of these guru distance coaches, that's exactly what I would do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to designate the 10 that are going to do the cross-country portion. But come indoor and outdoor, like, hey,
Yeah.
you got 25 dudes on the distance squad. Who cares? And that's exactly where a lot of this is going.
And it's been a common practice for distance coaches to redshirt freshmen.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. If that is a safe haven for a distance runner, then yeah, I mean, there is not going to be room for very much else. The other aspect, and this is again at the highest level, the thought process is not even about conference anymore.
No.
The big programs are thinking about, okay, we need to survive conference.
Mm-hmm.
We still have first round, we still have nationals, okay? The methodology is pretty simple, and until something changes, you really need 6 to 10 athletes at the meet.
Uh-huh.
Okay? So now you're thinking about culture, you're thinking about your core, you're thinking about making sure that core isn't contaminated, right? You're thinking about making sure they stay healthy, right? And so now you're funneling your efforts. It's no longer about the collective, right? It's no longer about, hey, here's some of my energy for you. Here's some, no, it's not. You know, as a sprints coach, you might end up with 4 athletes, and that's it. Your mandate is to get those 4 to 6 kids to the meet, healthy, ready to go. You might have, as a jumps coach, you might have 1 high jumper, 2 long jumpers, and a pole vaulter, and that's it.
Oh yeah, there's
You
going to be a
know,
bunch of field event coaches that have Noah's Arks groups.
mm-hmm,
I got 2 long jumpers, 2 high
mm-hmm.
jumpers, 2 triple jumpers, 2 pole vaulters,
That's
and
it.
scene.
And that's it. That's it. That's the real reality. So, you know, it might be a year later where a coach is telling an athlete, hey, we just don't have roster spots. Athlete looks on TAT first and is like, wait a minute, like, you don't have that many. No, I don't. And I've got energy for this. And we succeeded at this. And that's what we're going to do.
Don't
So
forget those BSAs, coach.
Oh, listen, the DSA thing is wild.
It is wild.
It's so wild, I assure you, only about 25% of the compliance people in the whole nation understand it fully right now. But you know what? Let the governor explain the DSAs. Because
After you explain it, I'm gonna give the DSA explanation for dummies, which is when you were a little kid and you played baseball, right? And you played 1-on-1, whenever you got a hit, you had ghost runners. This is what DSAs are. They are ghost runners.
that's not for dummies. That's for baseball dummies. That doesn't help the audience.
Please explain, Dr. Governor.
Oh my goodness.
Why you
You know, you're putting me. Go ahead, Clive. You go ahead.
Oh no.
No,
That was Kai. It's not me. That was Kai.
2-year-old.
Hang on one second, because I want to get very, very clear.
Hey, get on my nerves.
But while Governor gets the precise explanation, I'll give you a loose one.
Yes.
It's basically a tag that could help you or could help the kid that is leaving. The question is, why would people do this and for which purposes? Because as it has been explained to us, it's up to the institution leaving that is being left. It's up to the institution that is being left to tag Kai Ryan here as a DSA.
Correct.
Now, there are certain coaches and certain programs that, you know, would be happy to help Mr. Ryan here on his path through the portal by tagging him as a DSA, because when he gets to the governor's school, the governor will be, well, it will not cost the governor as much. It will not harm him on roster size. It may not even harm him financially, as I understand the language. But why exactly would I do that? Some people I would, some people I wouldn't, but it's not across the board thing. So it's like, it's a very convoluted rule, and most people didn't even know it was coming.
So,
Yeah.
a designated scholarship athlete in the context of recent NCAA settlement changes refers to a student athlete who is granted an exception from new roster limits, allowing them to remain on a team even though they would have otherwise been cut due to the limits. This designation helps schools manage roster sizes while still honoring athletic scholarships and commitments. So he's an outlier. She's an outlier. He or she does not count against the roster limit. And
correct.
So to ease a transition, schools can designate certain athletes as DSAs. DSAs do not count against the school's roster limit, and they can continue participating fully in their sport for the remainder of their eligibility, provided they have eligibility remaining.
Correct. That's the nice part, if they stay.
If they stay, yeah.
But in the transfer portal now, which we can't show you that part because it would deal with the names of the kids.
Yes.
There's a distinction. Kai Ryan is a DSA. Well, why would that matter? Why would that matter at the new school?
Because they remain DSAs for the remainder
of
their eligibility.
Yes.
You see how that game is played? You see how messy that can get? I want to send Kai to KST, so I'm going to designate him a DSA. So that helps KST tremendously. But what if my son's getting on my nerves? And I don't feel like helping him out right now. If he goes out there with no distinction like that, that makes him harder to recruit in today's world.
So think about how that correlates with the graph you just showed for 2024, 2025. Okay?
Because listen, you can search the transfer portal specifically by DSAs. I promise you there's 10 of them.
Yeah.
That's it.
Exactly. Exactly.
It's not really a thing yet.
Yep.
But here's what's the crazy part, right? We all know people don't read emails and people are slow to catch up on things, right? The DSA list is finalized July 6th.
July 6th. Yep. You have until July 6th to designate who your DSAs will be.
And like, for those who don't really get this, that like, because we are beating around the bush about the nefarious nature of this. Like, look, I will give you an example of how somebody who likes to play in the gray can use this particular distinction to dominate.
Mm-hmm.
If I had a roster that I had people I was going to have to cut because we're really good, and there were distance runners, sprinters, throwers, right? There was a smattering that I had to cut. What I can do is sit down with, let's just say, my group of distance runners and tell them, I'm going to designate you as DSAs. You don't have to leave. You can stay. You can keep your money,
Mm-hmm.
and you can run for my university. You will have a DSA distinction. If in the fall, when things shake out, if you don't make the roster, the competitive roster, and you want to go someplace else, you can go to that other school without any penalty, and you can be immediately added to their roster no matter where they're at in their roster cap.
Yep.
The smart group of young people is going to be like, well, coach, why wouldn't I do that? And I would say, I'm glad you think that. And I could put half, 3/4 of my distance roster, we'll pick, right, as DSA status. I now have cleared space on my roster to go add another sprinter or a jumper or a hurdler, right? But when we go to compete, I can run 7 DSAs as my cross-country team if I want to.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll take it a step further. Depending on the makeup of your team, why wouldn't I take the top 10 athletes on my roster and designate them right now?
Absolutely.
Like,
yep.
so all my 9-9 guys, they're DSAs now? And I can
Now the school would have to be on board with that because
Exactly.
you
I
are
was about-
technically
yes.
cutting them,
Yes.
right? But it's such an easy workaround because, like, again, let's take another event area that always has shenanigans. I got a big group of freshman throwers coming in. I'm going to DSA every single one of them.
No.
Because now none of them takes up a roster spot when I redshirt them. Not one
Yeah.
of them.
Yep.
Not one of them. So I don't have dead weight.
It's really, it is something. And
They can become undesignated, right?
You can become undesignated, but you can't go back.
Yeah, you can't go back and back, but you can come out of the hole. You can't go back into the hole.
Correct. So I could take my entire freshman class of throwers, DSA them, fill their roster spots, right? And give those older people who would have been cut the opportunity to matriculate off, and the following year just fill all their spots by un-DSAing that whole group of freshmen that I redshirted. You could do that for sure.
Schools are not required to use a DSA designation, but it provides a mechanism to manage roster sizes while honoring existing commitments. So
My question, and I'm looking for this
people
now.
that are moving freely.
The fact that your DSA distinction is portable is just wild.
Right.
It's
The
just wild
portability of it is
because you
crazy.
could be you could be a DSA at my school 100%, but that's outrageous that you get to be a DSA at the next school. Outrageous. Because there's no real justification for that at all, except for the fact that, look, there was a young lady who happened to be a distance runner who pleaded her case passionately in the hearings and such, and it struck a chord that we can't have people who would have gone to one of these other schools had they known that their dream school was going to have roster limits, and they decided to go to their dream school and now they can't run. So
Mhm.
right. So if that
Yep.
if that passionate plea doesn't happen, we don't have DSAs,
Yep.
and this is all very, very different. But we do. And now that we have DSAs, look, at the end of the day, I have said this for a very long time in the athletic business. Rules are important and you have to know them all, but you have to know them all so that you can operate all the way up to the line,
Yes.
right? Because the gray is not black, right? So everything up to the black is technically white, but you have to know the rules to know exactly where the line is.
I mean, think.
People who are good at this are going to master the use of the DSA distinction.
I mean, we could go down the list of loopholes that have been absolutely abused from
Oh my God.
from cost of attendance, where there's an actual negotiation with faculty, like, hey, just bump it up a little bit, to to Alston money only for academic proficiency. Hey,
Oh,
do you have a pulse? Here's your
oh
money. To I mean, it's just, and it's never going to stop.
no.
It's never going to stop. And this is just another one of those loopholes that, I mean, it's just a matter of time. It's just a matter of time before we start seeing, even if it's developmental athletes that might not be at that level, but you believe in them and you're like, hey, these are your options right now. I can't promise you that you're going to run, but you show me something indoors, we'll figure it out.
Well, I mean, one more thing, and then we definitely need to get off of this.
Mhm.
The DSA thing is one of these perfectly constructed, idiotic things that when people came up with it, no one was thinking about Olympic sports, definitely not track and field. This is one of those high caliber, team sport things that they came up with. And it is absolutely going to make just a mess in
Mhm.
our sport. It wasn't written for us. No one was thinking about us when they did it, but this is a mess in our world with this DSA thing.
So I feel like the limitation is the wallet,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Because if you can't
Mhm.
afford to keep them all on, that's going to be your barrier, right?
Yeah.
But I think I said it last week. I don't remember. I apologize, but this is your new version of redshirting. This is you being able to
Mhm.
develop, and then like you guys said, the distance running world, where you take a year to develop. You're not accounting against anybody, and you go on. This is for the heptathletes and the decathletes as well. You don't have to count against. And guess what? If I DSA you and you don't turn out, oh well,
Yeah.
Mhm. Oh well.
Yeah. I
right?
didn't kill a roster spot, which is everything.
But you did kill scholarship money.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's where I think, those who are playing with the full 45, it's a little bit different for them. Um, those institutions and programs who are getting strapped up and put their hands behind their back. This isn't as much funny money as before, or as what everybody thinks it is, but
So I am aware that there are schools that actually have more scholarship money than roster spots. Oh
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
100%.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Yes.
with the
And
expectation of not
not
using it all.
see? No. You're not paying attention.
And you can move it.
Yes. Remember, we're not even talking about scholarships anymore. We're talking about money. Like,
Got it.
here's your operating.
So you have a number, not
Yes, you have a number,
scholarships.
and
Got it.
that number may add up to more scholarships than you actually need. So,
But we don't pay people to play sports.
oh boy. All right.
So that transitions us.
Yeah, it does.
It actually doesn't, because it puts me right back in the beginning of that portal fatigue. But
You're not going to be.
it transitions us to the jobs
I want to be in the portal.
that are. No, you don't, Kai.
This is
you
tremendous.
don't.
Kai wants to be in the
Oh.
portal of new family.
You're too
Kai,
good
you're
to
moving
be
to
in the
Texas,
portal.
baby.
I want to be
You see?
Yeah, you see, you're in the portal. Now you can come to my house, Kai.
in
Okay.
We'll
We'll
make
get
you a
to Kai.
DSA, Kai.
Oh my God. We just DSA the
Okay.
3-year-old.
the
So we talked about the student athlete side of this, but what
Mhm.
this is doing and these decisions that what they're creating is what has been coined at in our conversation is musical chairs as opposed to the coaching carousel. Because now we're not all playing with the same amount of chairs or the same amount of horses that we were riding on before. Now there's less, and not necessarily positions per se on a staff, but the position makeup is now different. And we're seeing it happen. And, I caught myself today. Congrats to Coach Raphael Craig for getting the Winthrop job.
Mhm.
Someone's like, "Oh, did you see that?" And then they're like, "So when does it open?" And I said, "Who said it's opening? Who said they're going to open the jumps job? Who
Yeah.
said they're not going to pick up another sprint coach or another throw coach, or you know what I mean?" But that's literally where we stay now.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean it's one for one. It could
Nope.
be a gone position.
Yeah.
Well,
It could be
that's
going -1.
so we have thousands of athletes floating in the enigma, in the
Mhm.
ether, with no home in sight.
Mhm.
The coaching carousel, as put so eloquently by the EP, is musical chairs now.
Yeah.
It's not, oh, Chewy left this job, who's gonna fill it? It's
Right.
Chewy left this job, there may not
What are
be
they
any
going to
job.
do? Mm-hmm.
Or Chewy got put out of this job because they don't want to do the multis no more. So
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I guess she just in the wind. And
I
that
mean,
is exactly, again, predictable and predicted by
mhm.
some of the people here. So when there are people out there that have been saying for a year and a half, it's all going to shake out, it's not going to change that much, everybody calm down. No, it's been time to hit the 5 alarm.
It's time to panic.
It's been time to panic.
Yeah. In an era where you can have up to 12 coaches, paid coaches on staff,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. And it also if you're paying close attention, it also speaks to why you're seeing certain coaches hired at certain places, right? And I'm talking about
Mm.
in terms of their experience, in terms of, you know, and it might make you scratch your head initially, but you're like, okay, wait a minute. Uh that's almost entry level. Okay. Now, what would be the responsibilities for said person, right? And that person accepting that position, knowing that that role is probably going to be this, and it varies. It varies depending on where you're at.
It's all
So,
reciprocal, right?
mm-hmm,
Because to your point, the announcement that the lack of regulation on hiring
mm-hmm,
was one of these things that, hey guys, we're
mm-hmm.
deregulating that. Hire as many coaches as you want, pay them whatever you want.
Exactly.
And
Yep.
2/3 of the industry went, oh my God, that's awesome. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
why would that be awesome? Why would that be awesome? Because just like the idea of 45 scholarships for all sounds awesome, the reality is there's less money for less kids. And
Well,
yeah, Florida may be able to hire 12 coaches,
mm-hmm,
but the majority of jobs have shrunk.
right.
So it doesn't matter if 5 or 6 schools can hire all these people when the majority are eliminating positions.
Well, you're asking an administration to double their salary pool.
Mhm.
No big
Yeah.
deal. No big deal.
All the while, we still have coaches making $27,000,
Oh yeah. Oh
40
yeah.
something $1,000.
That's right. That's right. Yes, it's
Make it make sense.
it's nightmare-ish if you want to dwell on it as opposed to just, you know.
Well, I mean, so we talked about the carousel and how it opened up within the last month or so, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm finding myself now asking mentees who are talking to me about this job opening, or I've been communicating with this, and this coach. I'm asking them, are you checking for longevity?
Yeah.
Are you checking to see what the administration is telling the director or head
Mhm.
coach?
Yep.
2, what is your head coach saying? How interested, like if you sell me a bill and I buy it, that's on me, right? But what is their genuine interest in keeping around maybe your position or a position that's adjacent to yours?
Yeah.
Because if they're already thinking in that fashion, then you've got to know that you can be just as susceptible.
Yep.
It
Yep.
used to be the volatility because of performance. It has nothing to do with performance at this point.
Yeah.
Because if you're just not valued, like it's pretty just, I don't know. I was talking to a mentee and, the question was asked, where do you want to go? Well, I'd like to stay at this division. Okay, why? It's the most tumultuous right now.
Mm-hmm.
It really is because, you're having people who want to play with the Jeffersons when they're just the Jetsons.
Yeah.
They ain't even the same. So I mean, it's just, we can talk about jobs that are open, but we have no clue why and whether they're getting filled and whatnot.
Well,
So,
Yeah, I think that's the crazy part right now is that like we can talk about jobs that are open, but we can't give any guidance with that information because just because the job opens, you still better figure out what the job's going to become.
right.
mhm.
Right. So
Right.
it used to be like, look, we did the coaching carousel to try and help those who didn't know or didn't have access to what jobs come open. Right. That information is relevant now, but it just is a place to start looking.
Yeah. And
Like you have to run an inquiry now.
yeah. And the standards that we glorify and we talk about year after year after year, and how, I mean, every single year you have to run sub 10, you have to run sub 20, you have to run sub 22.5, you have to run sub 11. Those standards are setting the market. Those standards, throws, jumps, multis, they're pretty much dictating how you're operating, right? Because you have an administration that is looking over your shoulder going, okay, how much money are you spending? I gave you X amount. How much are you spending? How much are you using? Is it worth it? Where are my results? And so if you're thinking around those lines, then now you're like thinking, okay, I've got to hone in on this. I think I'm really good at this, and this is what I'm going to do, right? And by and large, I think head coaches have bought themselves time. They bought themselves and the ability to keep that staff intact, and they have made adjustments. It's the ones that have not adjusted that are going to find themselves going, uh-oh, because I think the mandate's pretty clear.
well, you're not even considering those administrators who might be, call it, in tune with what
Mm-hmm.
happens in track and field,
God.
who will,
Woo.
Right.
right? Who will
How
start to
many?
dictate. They'll
Yes.
start dictating. Well, I'm
Yes.
like, how many of us have heard this phrase? I was on TFers and I
Mhm.
saw ...
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool, but that's a stat that's like reading a text message. You
Yeah.
have no tone with that,
Nope.
right? I'm looking at the West prelims, and at the West prelims, they only ran this in the 15. So that means everybody should qualify if they run this. No, that's not what it means.
No.
It
No, no,
means they
no.
ran to qualify for a big queue. They didn't run fast,
Yeah.
you know,
Mhm.
and that's where when you don't have tone and you don't have, call it, attendance or complete understanding, and you just go off chalk, like, there are times when you can and there are times that you can't.
Yep.
And, you know, for those who aren't actually in the know or paying attention, or maybe just going by hearsay, you're gonna hurt somebody. You're gonna
Well,
hurt somebody.
here's what I will say, you know, and I think the dream scenario in this new um, world that we're in is to be at a non P4 that has an AD that loves track and field, right? And you have the ability to go and scare the bejesus out of the upper echelon schools, right? Basically, why are you here? Like what, huh? Right? And it's a very interesting spot to be in. Now, how many of those exist? I mean, I think we could probably count on one hand.
Yeah,
You
there's not a
know,
lot.
there's not a lot. But the ones that are at the P4, at the non P4 level, that are showing up year after year, top 10, top 20, it's got to be fun. Because it's not that their administrators are expecting you to win, and you know they know exactly who they are, they know exactly what they're able to put in or pour into the program, but go and do your job, you know. And I think that's a very interesting pocket right now.
Man, it's not like we wanted to talk about these things or anything.
I mean, it's like we're just throwing each other lobs and layups.
What's next?
Scary times. What's next is Grand Slam track.
Oof. Oh man.
Like, okay, I want to say this first before we get into post and the conversations. I'm going to pick on opening day because he talked about how MJ wanted to save track, but you couldn't do it without field, and all those words that came with that whole conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
In specific, the tiles, because we're in the group chat together. Do you remember how excited opening day was for the ATX meet and how he thought it was a great idea?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I know it's not the same because it's a meet versus a league, but you didn't shoot down the concept
Mm-hmm.
of a modified meet.
Nope.
Okay, that's fair, but there were things I didn't text because if you remember, one of the things I was most excited about was like, we could do this, right? Isn't that what I said?
Mm-hmm.
So then when you and I were at practice, what did I say? We could do all the events from the 400 hurdles down and long or triple, pole vault, and high jump. So yes, I understand that. And I said, I would love to do the throws, but then you can't because it would lengthen the meet and it would make it more dangerous, right? Because you
Mm-hmm.
need the infield. So I've always been here for pieces of this incredible smorgasbord that we had. I think running an entire league that doesn't have any field events is insane.
Mm-hmm.
Having a track meet that doesn't have them, that's probably not a terrible idea because there are single one-off track meets that only have field events, like the altitude games, right? They have no track.
Right.
But I would never do an entire league that was all field events either. So I get it. Like, I get why you poked at me, but I'm okay with pieces from time to time. My umbrage that I took with, I mean, my umbrage with Michael was tantamount to just like a smorgasbord of things. But at the end of the day, my biggest issue with him was the arrogance to think that the field events didn't matter.
Well, and so I'm not defending him. Obviously, there were sports
I
events
know.
already, but I'm saying it opened the eyes to those like Ryan Krauser who put on the shot put, that league, right? And so, you know, I've talked about going back to a relay meet that did the field events where he composed the three scores and yada yada yada. Anyways, so what I think it was is the stir for your coffee, right?
Yeah,
I'm gonna
for
take
sure.
it as that as the optimist because like I do want to help. And you know, we talked about ATX sprints and I'm thinking about well ATX field, you know, and it's not ATX, but you know, whatever we decided to end up doing. But anyways, so Grand Slam track. The dialogue came out that people are waiting for money still.
Yes.
Yep.
Which I'm sorry was the only answer that was ever going to be correct. It's the obvious answer. It's the duh. What did you think it was? Internet idiots. Like, but listen, you can't keep a secret like that under wraps. So yeah, ain't nobody got their money. So now the tap dance has started. People, oh well, we plan to get the Jamaican meat money out by this date, and this day, this meat out by this date. If you have the money, then why you ain't paid nobody? It's a simple question.
Yep.
That very obvious reality was always going to come to light, and now it is starting to come to light. And of course, the people that are waiting to skewer this and put it out are, of course, overseas because they're first in line to be like, we told you wasn't a thing, so now you gonna eat this crow. So listen, I'm petty. I'm here for the reports. I'm here for the you know the quotes without names behind it. I'm here for all of that because it's just true, and it was obviously going to be true. But that's not what I find the funniest part of all of this. The funniest part of all of this is I live on the West Coast. So, in lieu of Grand Slam LA, we were planning to roll on down to LA and show up and support, get some tickets, go to USA, watch Sid and Gabby battle out in the long sprints. Like, I'm here for that.
Yeah.
But I can't buy those tickets. So I tried to go buy me some Prefontaine tickets because, you know, we're going to road trip up versus down. Yeah, no, I can't buy any Prefontaine tickets because Prefontaine in the cathedral apparently is sold out. Like, actually sold out.
Yeah.
Wait, do they have field events in that meet?
They do have field
They
events.
do have field
Oh,
events.
The
all
field
right.
events are not the headliners of that meet, but that's neither here nor there. You know, we can't fill the Jamaican stadium. We can't fill the Miramar Stadium. We can't fill Philly. Don't believe the hype. It was 60% empty, but we can fill the cathedral. We can fill the cathedral for the Prefontaine. We can go on the website right now and try to buy a ticket to Prefontaine. There are 5 of them left, and they're selling them at about $600 a piece. I ain't doing all that. They don't pay me enough money around here for all that. So I'm just tickled at all the narratives and all the lies that keep on popping up, starting with, of course, as I've told you all many, 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 many times, the cathedral, Tracktown USA cares, and they show up to important things.
Perhaps, just perhaps, the demise of track and field has been greatly overstated, and the need to be saved also greatly overstated. Michael can pack up his cape, and superheroes are not needed. We just need people to pay their bills. All right, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with my petty pounding for the day. Look, there are times, folks. I'd be. Let's just be honest. There are times where being right's just not even that fun.
It just kind of sucks.
But that's what I mean, right? Like at the end of the day, like, yeah, I'm right, and I get to quote unquote gloat, but like, no, that high tide didn't happen. That's a low tide, and it sinks all boats. Because in the end, we still look like a clown show to the rest of the world.
Man.
Well, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but my blood pressure's up again. Now I gotta go make sure to go get it down.
Can I ask you guys a question? This is the real question. I promise. This one is not petty. What pivot could Michael possibly have to save this concept and actually have year 2? What could possibly happen between now and next year that anyone would buy that this is a thing?
Well, we said it. The number one thing for me, like I said, we said it on one of the previous shows. I need cash on the finish line so I know people are getting paid.
Oh, that's right. We were talking about the World Series of Poker money.
Exactly. I need some security guards, and I need Kenny Bednarik running through the finish line of the 100 and picking up a suitcase full of money.
Right.
Like I need that element to it, because again, if you sign me up under the premise of we're gonna make all this money and then you're not actually paying me, fool me once, shame on me.
That's what I mean, right? Like I just don't know who is signing up for this. Like the maddest person in this whole scenario is probably not even Gabby or Sid. It's probably Melissa Jefferson.
Yeah.
Because Melissa Jefferson's whole coming out, party has been wrapped up into the Grand Slam track and field. Kenny Bednarik has made a lot of money, and he's having a dominant early part of the season. But we know who Kenny Bednarik is. There's a whole lot of people who just like, not us, but there's a whole lot of like casual fans of track and field who just found out how good Melissa Jefferson really is. And has she done the things that she's done so far in the Diamond League meets? She may not have made as much money as she's currently promised, but she would have made that money for sure.
I feel
So-
like on the operational side, sorry, real quick. If he wants to salvage and maybe reconstruct and rebuild, maybe to only do certain races, shorten the schedule. And not because of time, because of distribution of money.
Well,
Yeah, it's definitely a lot that they took on.
A lot of winners to pay out.
no, but see, you don't get a pass for that, because that's the whole premise of what you sought out to create, right? Like you said you had it.
Yes.
You can't say you have it and then oops, we ain't have it. Like that's not a thing. You can't do that. And to the Melissa Jefferson point, I want to make sure I get this right. Yeah. So here's the Diamond League 100 meters, because I've been very happy to watch Melissa Jefferson do what she's been doing, right? I'm a fan of Melissa Jefferson. Here's the lineup for Prefontaine. TT Terry, Talu, Sha'Carri, Favor Ophelia, who has a 1087 on the board this year, Melissa Jefferson, the Clayton twins out of Jamaica, Dina Asher Smith, and the headliner, of course, the Olympic champion, Julian Alfred. What? What? That's
Yeah.
not Melissa racing Gabby in
No.
a gimmick race.
No.
That's not that. So
No, that's the Olympics final.
right. So as a fan of the sport, do I want to watch the gimmick, which was interesting, or do I want to watch that race? Now, I'm all for the idea that the winner of that race should get $100,000. I'm here for that.
Yep.
That is apparently can't be done at this point in the world, so whatever. But I want to watch that race. That race and others like it are the reason that the cathedral is sold out. The other thing is cute, but that's why Miramar ain't sold out.
But so that we spoke about this and we highlighted it when the conversation started about GST. Timing. This meet is on time.
Yeah, I mean,
It's
Free
tune-up for-
has no natural enemies,
Mm-mm.
right? You're talking about pre All-Star break baseball. NBA free agency will basically be over by then, and you haven't really gotten deep into OTAs or anything with football.
But what I'm also I'm talking about competition calendar.
Yeah,
GST was too early.
which we said on this show like 15 times.
Well,
Like,
no,
why would
and-
you want to be ready to run in May?
So, but that's the thing. Like, I think that's to the credit of running the off races for the gimmick races and things like that. That's credit to that, right? There's credence to having you do 2 events because you're still. I mean, to me, in my head, MJ was appeasing the coaches. You had to run 2 events. You're still working on things. You're still building foundation. You're just racing it out a little bit. It's a high intensity practice. But you're almost putting the cart in front of the horse. Like you wanted Prefontaine money with GST tactics. Or not money, ambiance, maybe is the word I'm thinking of. Situations. So I don't know. Apples and oranges.
Sure, and I get the ambiance thing, but you know, I watched the Diamond Leagues. All the Diamond Leagues I was watching had thousands and thousands of people in the stands in Paris, in Italy, in all of these places. Like, you know, we're all upset that they don't pay more, but they don't have any problem cutting these checks.
Mm-hmm.
By the
That
way,
cannot be from a sport that needed to be saved.
By the way, how is Flow Track doing in their broadcasts?
I mean, I gotta tell you,
Okay.
I don't know if it's a big difference. I mean,
Are they just regurgitating the original?
yeah,
Right.
I turn it on and I'm hearing my Brits
Mm-hmm.
and I'm laughing along at the pettiness of the Brit announcers because that's what they do and I love it. You know, it feels like every other Diamond League broadcast I've ever seen, which again isn't great and definitely could be done better and could be packaged differently and all of those things. All that is true. But all the events are compelling, including the field events. And again, I'm not as mad at the field event thing as people who are diehard field eventers. And I get that outrage, but putting in the field events isn't going to save the GST model either.
Oh, no.
So it's, you know, I like I said, I wanted it to work, but all of the obvious pitfalls have played out, like literally every last one of them. And I'm like, okay, in a room full of very smart people, us randoms over here shouldn't be so right about this. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm sitting, I'm like, didn't nobody in the room, y'all didn't see this coming? Y'all didn't, We didn't see this, or is it in today's culture? We just feel like we can sell anything if we scream it loud enough and make some social media posts about it.
Like I said, look, sometimes being right just really isn't all that fun, because the first question that was asked on the very first show when we talked about this during the rollout of this, the first question that was asked was, where is the money going to come from? It was the first question asked.
That's right. And the general response was, they said, what did they say? They got $30 million. Like, you can't run a league on $30 million. You can't run any league on $30 million. Like, I can count. you can't do it. So I don't understand.
I mean, let's just be honest. We never understood it just, so, I don't want to spend any more time beating this situation up, because like I said, at the end of the day, the thing that really sucks is the sport ends up with egg on its face.
Yes,
not
it does.
like
It does.
Michael does, but not as much as the sport.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
But to Prefontaine, one of the things I'm like excited to see at Prefontaine, because in the Diamond Leagues, let's be real, in the 400 hurdles, we don't really get the principals together all the time, right? We got all three of them together for the 300-meter race, which is gimmicky and a little nonsensical. And we're not going to get them here. But in Eugene, we got Rye, we got DeSantos, and we got Nathaniel Ezekiel.
Here we go.
Who ain't had a competition all year.
No, he is.
You know what I mean?
He has been running against children.
Yes, he
Out there
has.
playing with his food all year, and I am here to see that race right there.
Shout out, Ben. I'm rooting for you, man.
Samba's in there too, by the way.
Okay.
Oh, by the way.
Yeah, like that's a great race. What?
Yeah, I mean, I gotta give it to the pre folks. They did not come light this time.
No, they did not.
They did not. Like, this is a heavy pre roster.
Men's 400. You got Samu Kanga, Ja'Cory Patterson, fresh off his new Nike deal, but no payouts from the meet.
Stop.
Karani James, Matthew Hudson Smith, Christopher Bailey, and of course Quincy Hall.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Like hey, listen, we're here. We're here.
Woo, that's gonna be fun.
You know what? I was trying to figure out why it's so loaded. You know why pre is so loaded?
We're gonna make a point.
No, it's the only Diamond League meet in the US.
In the US.
Because remember, the New York meet got canceled and the LA meet got canceled.
That's right.
Everybody is in this meet.
Yep.
That's right. The women's hurdles, which of course is always highly disrespectful. You got Danielle Williams, Masai is there, Nugent is there, Tia Jones is there, Kenny Harrison is there, Christina Clemens, fresh off her new PR, 12-4 is there, Toby is there, and then you throw in Aaliyah Armstrong and Tonia Marshall.
You've got 5 women that have run sub 12.3?
Yeah, this year.
Yeah.
That's insane.
This year.
Yeah. That's holistically disrespectful.
Oh my gosh.
But you know what the funniest thing about the pre-lineup actually is? The wackest event is the one that features Sid.
Okay, she run the women's 4, or she run the 400 hurdles?
The 400, because it's not listed as a Diamond League event. It's not part of the Diamond League calendar.
Right.
But they wanted to get Sid up there, and she was supposed to run an open 4 in LA, right? So it's not a bad field. It's just not those fields.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're not getting
Paulino or
And you're not getting Paulino, Sawa, or Gabby. So it's Sid and then the rest of the American contingent. So you got Isabella Whitaker, Bailey Lear, Alexis Holmes, Rosie Effiong, Aaliyah Butler, and then Dejanay Oakley, Amber Anning, and Adela K. So a good field.
All 49 second runners, all of
It's
them.
a very good field. It's just
Yeah.
not those other ones.
Not the
Yeah.
yeah.
Not
We're
as
gonna
violent.
show up to watch Sid play with her food.
Interesting.
This would be the first time in probably 5 or 6 years that Pre is must see.
Yeah.
Here's another must see race for you. Kung Fu Kenny, Big Joe, Robert Gregory, Kyrie King, Courtney Lindsay,
Wow.
Alex Ogando,
Mm-hmm.
Jareem Richards, and
We were just
Taboho.
talking about him.
And Taboho.
Just talking about Dream.
Taboho is running.
Taboho is on the line.
Wow.
So
Wow.
think about this. That is the season debut for Taboho
Mhm.
and Sha'Carri.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good thing I realized.
Well,
I
now,
have
hold
track.
on. Not season debut for Sha'Carri.
Did I miss something?
Yeah, she ran hurt.
She ran out in Japan.
Yeah.
It wasn't awesome.
It wasn't awesome at all.
Okay, so like I said, the
So you
season
throw
debut
that
for
you throw that
Sha'Carri.
one away. You throw that
Yeah.
one away. But you know what? That's always been a funny whatever the word kink about Pre, right? Pre is a Nike is a Nike special.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody understands if Nike says you're going to be there and you got the Nike uniform on, or you're going to
Yes.
be there.
Right.
So they're
Money
gonna,
or you paid or not.
right, you're going to get your principals to the line. Now, what happens
Mhm.
when they get to the line is a different issue. But
Yeah.
you can't duck the Pre.
Yeah. And this week looks absolutely gorgeous in
I was gonna
Eugene.
say,
Of course,
is it rainy or not?
Mid-80s, sunny skies.
that's right. They listen. Eugene put all the rain on the children.
I was gonna say they put it on the Nike and the G20 meet.
No rain on the collegiates for nationals. No rain on the pros. There won't be any rain problems for USA's. Dump all the
Right.
rain on the children for 4 days. It's fine.
That's funny.
Everybody's
That's
fine.
funny.
Maybe that's because the children shouldn't be running there. Oh wait, did I say that?
Oh boy.
Hey, you gotta have the U20 game somewhere, baby.
That's right.
Yeah, I think I said this a few times on the show. The Eugene fatigue comes from the fact that you used to have to aspire to be good enough to run in Eugene, and now you just have to be at the track. Like you just have to run track.
Mm-hmm.
You guys know that they announced Worlds for U20s next year is at Eugene.
Of course.
Yes, they did.
Great news. Great news.
Hey, maybe we will sponsor a team.
Well,
maybe
well,
50-50, I think.
USA Track and Field probably got sick of not sending teams or announcing that they're not sending teams.
Yeah, well, you know what? Good for those children because that will be awesome.
Yep. So, well, we stirred the pot. Everyone's coffee's well stirred at this point. So, oh man. Good luck with your water cooler talks this week. We'll see. Don't piss anybody off too much. Got to keep getting that paycheck. So, all right, everyone. Have a great week. We'll come back to recap with Pre and see what else happens. So, have a great evening. We'll talk to you guys soon. Bye, all.